oxygen. The room is getting smaller. We always have it coming, like animals who like to bite, tasting our disaster. 20-something seconds go on and on. 20-something seconds go. I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. I know we can do better. I'm not ready for darkness. If we promise to hold on and to never let go, I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. Hey, 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 hey. I'm ready to absorb you, feeding all your triggered lies. My ignorance defines you. The roof is gonna cave in, roaring with some dinosaurs, so caught up in the moment. 20-something seconds go on and on. 20-something seconds go. I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. I know we can do better. I'm not ready for darkness. If we promise to hold on and to never let go, I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. Hey, 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 if we promise to hold on and to never let go, I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for. I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. I know we can do better. I'm not ready for darkness. If we promise to hold on and to never let go, I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. Hey, 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 hey.
I'm focused. I've been watching for the omens. I've been listening to everything you said. It's been running through my head, locked and loaded. I got the feeling that you know it. Yeah, I've only just begun. I won't stop until it's done, till you're broken. So welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the lighter. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. Welcome to the fire. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. I've been waiting for this moment, the final battle of the chosen. See, I'm never gonna quit. Got my legacy set in motion. So welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the lighter. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. Welcome to the fire. welcome to the fire. 'Cause the bigger they are, the harder they fall. You build your fortress and I'll climb your walls. You got your armor, but I see your flaws. So welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the light. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. Welcome to the fire. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. Bigger they are, the harder they fall. You're gonna be a tough act to follow, and you better believe it. Just take a bite and see that it's gonna be too much to swallow. You better believe it. Yeah, I got one more trick, but you're gonna be a tough act to follow. To follow. All the people wanna go with desire, like the streaming with the fish in the ocean. Stay away, never come under fire. They will never ever show an emotion. I never dreamed of getting in the action. Life moves with all the surprises. I never dealt with chemical reactions. It comes down to this day. You're gonna be a tough act to follow, and you better believe it. Just take a bite and see that it's gonna be too much to swallow. You better believe it. Yeah, I got one more trick, but you're gonna be a tough act to follow. To follow. All the people wanna get in the circus, trying hard to keeping up with the Joneses. Everything is kind of trouble and purpose, and you're lying in a bed of roses. I never dreamed of getting in the action. Life moves with all the surprises. I never dealt with chemical reaction. It comes down to this. You're gonna be a tough act to follow, and you better believe it. Just take a bite and see that it's gonna be too much to swallow. You better believe it. Yeah, I got one more trick, but you're gonna be a tough act to follow. To follow. You're gonna be a tough act to follow. To follow. Oh, I feel I like the way I got up from the start. I was under pressure. I feel I got away. It comes down to this. You're gonna be a tough act to follow, and you better believe it. Just take a bite and see that it's gonna be too much to swallow. You better believe it. Yeah, I got one more trick, but you're gonna be a tough act to follow. To follow. To follow. Yeah, you're gonna be a tough act to follow. To follow.
Yo, what's up, everyone? What was that for, Patrick?
I like that song.
I know. Well, so and I timed it earlier, and it was like going to end right as the thing cut over, and I didn't get it right on the actual thing.
Yeah, that's good.
My,
That's a good
my
song.
bad.
That's
My
a good
bad.
song.
It's a good one to get the
You
body
know,
moving.
It reminds me of me. I'm a tough act to follow.
Because you're kind of a big deal. Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday. We're back. It's been a while. It's been a little bit. As we were just saying in the chat, and I was like, yeah, Patrick and I had to relearn how to do everything. And Patrick said he turned everything on and everything was broke. And he had to go fix everything. It was Matthew, I learned the music as Patrick's. Patrick had nothing to do with songs. He has nothing to do with any of that. Oh, James, 1 year this month, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for the support.
Wow,
much appreciated.
Yeah, man.
All right, we're back. Let's figure out how to do this live stream thing, Patrick. It's 2022. And then Christian coming in, 1.5 years, 18 months. Thank you, man. A lot of long-time supporters. I'm amazed. That always gets me, man. It's amazing. It's amazing. If you are new to Guy-in-a-Cube, we're seeing all the folks that have been here for a while, but if you're new to Guy-in-a-Cube, either live stream or Guy-in-a-Cube in general, put hashtag new in the chat. We always love seeing the new faces. Maybe there's going to be some new ones again for 2022. Let's get the year started off right. And then also shout out to the members of Guy-in-a-Cube. We love the support that you give us, and it's just a big thank you from us to you. The members of Guy-in-a-Cube are what help us do what we do here on the channel, so it's very much appreciated. If you see folks with the green name or the Guy-in-a-Cube logo next to their name, those are members of Guy-in-a-Cube, and so they do that. If you want to learn more about being a member, check out the link on the screen or hit the join button down below just to learn more. No commitment required. Just a big thank you from us. And whatnot. And members, just hold your questions until you get the queue. At the halfway mark, we will cut over to member-only chat. That's one of the benefits of being a member. And then Chatmaster C is standing by. She'll clear the queue and give you the all ahead to put your questions in. All right, so we got some news here. Naresh is new. We got a lot of news. Holy cow. Naresh is new. Fanny says hi from Cape Town. Thank you, Fanny. Wow, Cape Town. That's awesome. So Naresh is new, Nikhil's new, Tay is new, Keith is new to 2022, nice. Steven's new, Sanu's new, Common Logic is new, welcome. Melissa says noob here, nice, I love it. Marco, I'm always new by definition. Well, it's good you feel that way, Marco. It's good you feel that way. Man, look at all that. Wow. Welcome, everyone. Just great to have you here. Welcome. We're excited that you're part of this this live stream and the Guy-in-a-Cube community and the Power BI community. It's always fun to be around there. So, all right. Questions. Put Q: in front of the question to get it queued up. You only have to ask the question one time. One time is all you need. Do not repeat the question. Chatmaster C is standing by to get it queued up. We don't get to all the questions. I'm just going to say that right now. So there's always so many. So if we don't get to your question, apologies for that. Come back next week and we'll try again. So get those in. So members, again, hold your questions until the second half. We'll get your stuff going there. And then we'll go through as many as we can. Super chats always take priority. So if you do have a burning question, any point in the stream, super chats take priority. Just if you are doing a super chat, pay attention to it. So there's a spot where you can type in the question. So if your intent is to ask a question, make sure you ask the question before you hit the button. Otherwise, you're just giving a super chat, which is appreciated as well. But I want to make sure you get what you're looking for. So just be aware for that. Okay. All right. Oh, Laura. I see Laura in the chat. Welcome, Laura. It's good to see you. Tristan's there as well. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. All right. Let's kick over. I forgot to do one thing here. Let's do that. And we are good to go. Patrick, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Sandeep's going to start us off. Matthias, I don't even see a question from Matthias. For the new year, you're not kicking it off right, Matthias. What's up with that?
Matthias is all in the hybrid tables right now. He's all in the hybrid tables right now. Yeah.
He's feeling hybrid today. That's good. All right, Sandeep is going to start us off. Two-parter. Let's go with good morning. Good morning to you, Sandeep. I have a report with 6 pages. That's a lot. First page has slicers. Okay, so you're setting things up. I want to ensure that selection and slicer on first page filters the visuals on all pages. Okay. Part 2. I can use sync slicers. Yes, you can. Hide slicers on all the other pages to achieve this. My question is, how do I ensure that slicers pinned from first page filters visuals pinned from other pages in a dashboard? Oh, that's a good question. I understand the question. Patrick looks like he's trying to compute it in his head. His Vertipack engine in his head is taking a little longer than mine did.
Yeah, it's going slow. It's going.
So here's the thing.
Talking about an actual, an actual dashboard?
Yeah, so we're pinning a visual to the dashboard. So here's the thing. When you pin a visual to a dashboard, it pins it at the point of when you pinned it. So whatever the slicer selections were at the time that you pinned it. So if you're using sync slicers, that should apply to the visual, right? So it's being applied to the visual. And then when you pin it, that gets on the dashboard. But it doesn't update the filter selection and all of that later, right? You'd have to repin. So like if you change the slicer selection, you would have to repin the visual for that to be accounted for. So that's the thing to realize on that. So it should work at the point that you pin it. It's just that it is what it is after you pin it. So it's kind of static at that point. It will update the value based on whatever it was at the time that it pinned, but just realize that that's what it is. So, yeah. That's a good question. I like that.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah. All right.
Everyone in the chat's like, are they really talking about it? Is he really talking about a dashboard?
In that case, this is the one time where I interpreted dashboard as an actual dashboard in Power BI. Normally, I interpret it as just a report and not a dashboard. But yeah. All right, and I'm seeing Chatmaster C and Alex and Matthew just all jumping on. Please put Q : in front of your question. It's pinned to the top. Those are the instructions to do it. Please follow. All right. Yeah, I agree, Matthew. Yeah. Well, so many moderators, one consistent message. I don't see Patrick jumping on that bandwagon, but that's fine.
No, I'm not doing that. Doing that.
He's not lazy. He's efficient.
Just efficient.
All right. So Yee Rice, fellow Houstonian. Let's see here. So I have RLS set up inside the dashboard using user principal name equals user email. Excellent. So it's a column in the table. It works perfectly. I'm doing it in desktop. It works. However, when we go to the service, it ain't working. What's up with that? All right. So let's look at, I'm going to kick over to my machine. Let's go over here. And so what we think, I know there was some follow-up chat in the chat on this question earlier. I didn't keep up with it though, so I don't know if this was said or not. But once you have the model published, there's an extra step here. You've got to go click on the little ellipsis and go to security. And then in there, you have to assign like people or groups to the role that's there. And then that's what's going to be applied. There's also another piece here as well, is in the dashboard or in the workspace, those people have to be in the viewer role. If they are an admin, member, or contributor, RLS will not be applied to those people. So you have to make sure that they're in that read-only kind of state. So those are kind of the two things once you get to the service, and then it'll be applied for those people. So, and then you're saying you did that part. I'm assuming you meant you assign people to the groups. Did you make sure that they're in the viewer role and they're not an admin, member, or contributor? Because that will negate the RLS piece, because they're effectively owners of the data set, and RLS doesn't get applied at that point. That's what it was. Okay.
I think that's what trips most people up.
Yep.
I think that's what trips most people up is that last little bit.
Yep. Yeah. So it can't be in the viewer, or they have to be in the viewer. Sorry, they have to be in the viewer role. Yeah. Awesome.
They got to be a viewer.
Bam, knocking that out. Good. Just showing the clicks. That's all we're doing. Showing the clicks.
Yeah.
All
right.
Knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
All right. I hope I'm saying that name right. So my problem, I have a Power BI report that I published to a client. Inside the report, lots of images. The images are uploaded to SharePoint, and then Power BI takes the image URL from there. There's a second part here. and displayed in the report. When customer logs in, they see just the URLs, no images. Only when they open SharePoint in the same browser do they see the images. Anyone know what can be done? All right.
Wait.
So
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. Only when they open SharePoint in the same browser. That's interesting.
Well, no, that makes sense because they're technically logging into SharePoint at that point.
Right.
So now it's in the browser. It's in the browser part at that point. So now you've authenticated. And so that's just carrying through. So I think Patrick and I were talking about this a little bit before, and I think it still holds. It's the authentication piece. So there is actually, there's something that changed where you can now do like the secured images in SharePoint, right? So I saw someone do it. Like if it's in your SharePoint and you're authenticated on that tenant, like it worked. Someone showed that to me. It was like something that went in, and it was great. However, there is a piece where if you're not in the same tenant, that SharePoint's not in the same tenant, and you can't authenticate to it, then that won't work. But there is a blog post that PBI guy had put out about secured images, showing secured images in Power BI. So I'll put that blog there. And so that's something you can take a look at. I know Patrick is thinking about doing a video on that. So that's yeah. So those are all things you need to take into consideration. So now, and then I've now opened up Patrick's mind to something else.
Yeah. Because I'm just thinking about this SharePoint thing. This is interesting because if I'm in Power BI, I mean, if I'm in SharePoint, I see the images. Let's say they're in the SharePoint list, right? I see the images. And then I open up Power BI in the exact same browser where I'm already authenticated in the SharePoint. Those images will show if they're marked as a web image or whatever image URL or whatever.
I saw someone do it. I saw someone do it.
French.
It was like this weird thing. I don't remember if it was Alex that showed me or someone else, but I was just like, wait. I'm like, that worked? And they're like, yeah, that kind of snuck in somewhere a little bit ago.
That's just it's here now.
It just worked.
I did some videos. I see some people saying use blob storage. You can do blob storage also. There's some things you can do with the images, but like Adam said, they have to authenticate. I'm stuck now.
I know.
I'm stuck.
So here's some. So I see some things in the chat. So Paul, you were saying about the content types as image URL. You're right. I think they already did that because it does actually work, and it's working in Power BI Desktop. It's just when it goes to the service. So I think that's in place. Other people saying picture size limit. No, because it eventually works. It's the authentication piece when they signed into SharePoint. So, because if it was image size, it wouldn't work anywhere. So yeah. Yep.
There's a comment that just said, "Hey, I wish Power BI supported binary format." It's from our friend, and I did a video. Chris Webb actually solved this problem with it, and he wrote a really good blog post because there's a limit on the characters that it can load, and I did some concatenation. I just kind of followed what Chris did, and I did a video on this. I don't know how long ago. Go check it out. Yep, base 64. You transform into a base 64.
Yep. And then thanks. Yeah. So Kim, welcome to being a supporter. Thank you so much. And thanks, Kim, what we're gonna do, because I see you have a question in the queue as well. I'm gonna hold that until the member only question because now you're a member. So if whatever happens, just resubmit the question. I'll make sure that's the first one that we do when we get there. So awesome.
Priority for Kim.
Van Lessing. Come on, browser. All right. Power BI Desktop, visualization pane, format page. For some Power BI files, I only see the search field. Other files have the expected submenus, page size. What? Some PBI files, I only see the search field. Other files have the expected submenus. What's selected? Because that menu will change depending on what you select. So if it's a visual versus the page or whatnot. So
yeah,
hang on. So let me go over to my machine. So here's the So if I go to format, right? So I see search and I see page. But if I select a visual, like that's going to change. This is also, I'm using I have the preview feature enabled. So if you don't have the new filter pane or format pane, so that's what you're seeing here. So if it's like, whoa, what, that looks really different, that's why. And then, yeah, so if I don't select the visual, it goes back to the base. And then if I go back, then you'll see page information in the search pane. And so it's just different depending on what you select and what the visual properties are. And trying to see if I've got, let's see here. I don't know that I have. Yeah. So if I select a text box, yeah, it's even less. It's just search. That's the only thing I could think of there. I don't know what else. I need more information outside of that. I don't know what else would be causing what you're seeing. So any other thoughts, Patrick?
Nope.
No.
You're right. It's contextual. It's completely contextual.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Anudeep has a question. I want to show 12 trailing months data in Access. It has to show the last 12 months date according to the current month. How do I do that?
Go watch Alberto's video. Let me find the link. I mean, I just watched it. It's great. I don't want to get into it, but I think it came out last week, a week before last, like last 6 months or something. He had written a blog post, Marco had written an article on it, and someone had these really good questions in the article. I just watched this video, and the DAX is not trivial, but it's not difficult either. And he wrote, let me see if I can find, Alex is probably gonna beat me to it, but because I'm talking too much. But let me see if I can find the article.
Go Alex, do it. That's also dependent on whether you gave him enough information of what to search for. He got it. He got it. Yeah. Rolling 12-month average. There it is. Hey, Alex, for the win. That's funny. So yeah, go check that out on the deep. See if that gets you pointing in the right direction. Hopefully that. I know Alex. I just didn't know if he gave you enough to. I know how that works.
Paul, look at
Alex.
Paul's comment.
Alex breaking out his yeah. It's not difficult, but not trivial.
but
just
not
like
trivial.
that.
Not trivial.
Oh, that's funny.
No, Dan. I think Alex posted the wrong one. I'm not talking about the rolling 12, Alex. He's showing the last 6 months. Let me find it. Hang on one second. I'm gonna beat Alex to this because that's not the right.
Alex got wrong. See, he didn't give you enough, Alex. That's how it is.
That's not the right video.
That's how it is.
Oh, maybe it's an old video I hadn't watched yet.
That could be. You know how YouTube gives you like those recommendations, and like it could be from years ago.
Show last 6 months. Show last 6 months based on the user selection. Got it. Let's see. Do I beat Alex? There it goes. Did it show up?
I see it in the chat. Ooh. All right. Oh, and he came right after you with the. Yes, he was right on your tail, man.
Damu, you're wrong, my friend. You're wrong, my friend Damu. I beat him. I did not beat him. Technically, this is not a win. I just didn't give him enough information. Yeah. Way to go, Alex. Way to go. That's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, man. All right. Well, all right. So take a look at that, Anudeep, and yeah, he said YouTube's a liar. Hey, Alex, I've got that screenshot when I beat you, too.
You did not beat him.
Yeah.
You did not beat him.
I did. He's pulling some, funky, hokery, wizardy stuff to.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Van Lessing came back on that whole visual thing. He said he didn't have any visual selected, so maybe there's some issue in desktop. I mean, outside of more information and knowing what you're seeing, like it may need a support ticket to go figure that out. I'm not sure. Make sure you're in the latest version of desktop. Make sure you update.
That's what I was about to say.
Oh,
if you have, and if it does work, what I've done, uninstall and reinstall. Just uninstall it and reinstall it. Sometimes it just fixes itself.
When in doubt, reboot. There you go. All right. I don't know. Alex is rocking his Bing skills today. That's all I got to say.
He's talented.
All right.
He's talented.
Scott. Wait, Scott, that's a little ambiguous. That's a little ambiguous, Scott.
I know.
So Team Alex or Team Patrick? Me, I'm sticking with my friend. Which one's your friend? Which one? Yeah, there's Jam Master C saying it too. You don't have to answer, Scott. It's fine because on Tuesday when everyone's back at work. Yeah, he did. He's stoking the fire a little bit. He's poking.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. Matthew said Scott has no friends.
Scott has to be careful because on Tuesday when everyone's back at work, who's helping him with that customer case? All right. Moving on. David's got a two-parter. A lot of two-parter. Wait, is that two-parter? No, it's two different questions. All right. So David, I'm going to pick the first one. A large Power BI project has massive code, Power Query model, and DAX. Any serious development work requires source control. That's the source control question. Okay. Devs to review polls, managers. Blah, how do we do this? So this comes up every once in a while. So source control, there's not full source control integration with Power BI Desktop, right? So it doesn't exist. So from a model perspective, you can do this. If you're using premium, you've got the XMLA endpoint, you can do those types of things from a model perspective. Because at the end, it's just like a JSON file, and then you can deploy that and do whatever you need to do through XMLA. And then from the report itself, there's not a good way to do it. You've got it's one person in, one person out. It's a binary file. So I don't have a good answer for you there. But then you can also take advantage of deployment pipelines, go from dev, test, and production to move those things along. You can do potential integrations with like Azure DevOps or GitHub because there's APIs to do that push for deployment pipelines. So those are things you can look at to do that. But yeah, Tabular Editor is a great tool to use for doing that for the model piece.
Two really good comments. Alex posted a really good video. I'll show you how to use Tabular Editor in DevOps. It's great. And then Evan's comment, right? So for me, sometimes it's just simple things. I know you have massive code and all this stuff, but sometimes, turn on versioning in OneDrive just kind of works. It just works. So the multiple people working on it, it can be a challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
So Thomas is poking the fire with ALM Toolkit. It's part of the story, right? ALM Toolkit is part of the story.
It is.
It is part of this.
You want to do diffs on the model. It's a potential.
Yeah.
But I would also say if you want to do diffs on the model too, like there's ways you could potentially, no, you can only do that with items that were in this, like diffs and merges for what's in source control, not against the XMLA endpoint. So yeah, there's details.
Yeah.
And then Matthias, like that source control pops up once a month. Yes, it does.
And how could we forget the most important thing? Thank you, Paul. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So with and we'll come back to Paul. With that, so the fact that source control question comes up very often, I think illustrates the desire to have that in the product, right? It's a real need from an enterprise perspective, and so that's just a testament to like people struggle with that, right? Not everyone's here every week, and so they don't know. So that's okay. That's all right. And then Paul, you were saying Paul said separate the data model from the reports.
So important. I hadn't talked about this in months because we hadn't been talking about data modeling and stuff like this. This is key to a successful deployment. It really, really is key. Okay, I'll stop talking.
Yeah, it's all right. All right, Simon. Is there any way for my users to proxy in as someone else without me doing it via the data gateway? So I would need more information. Like, what are you trying to accomplish there? What's your goal with that question? The fact that you're saying data gateway, it sounds like you're wanting something like a single sign-on type approach, which you can accomplish for certain data sources. So direct query, if you're doing that against some cloud data sources, we should just pass. So like if you're using Azure SQL Database or Synapse, like we should pass the user that's signed into Power BI through to the data source itself if we're direct connected, right? So we're not going through a gateway. If we're going through a gateway, then there's some caveats there. Certain data sources do support that. We could actually pass Azure AD auth. That is something that you can get enabled. It's not enabled by default. You have to call support to get it. There's like a feature switch to get it enabled. There has to be like admin approval to enable that for your tenant, but that's an option. And then some other data sources that are on-prem through ways of like Kerberos or whatever, you can enable that type of functionality for either import or direct query. So some of those have those options. So outside of that, I don't know. I'd need more details on what you're actually trying to do there, Simon. But there are some. I'm assuming single sign-on is what you're looking for, to where the data source, they hit the data source. If you're just doing a regular imported data though, and we're just refreshing it, it's going to refresh it as that credential. Unless you do have that supported data source through a gateway. But if you're refreshing off of like a Azure SQL database and you're direct connected, there's not a good way to refresh it as whoever owns that data set. So it's going to go through the credential that's defined.
He put a comment.
What was the...
One person pulling data for someone else.
I don't know what that means. Pulling data for someone else. What does that mean? In the context of the Power BI report, what does that mean?
I don't want to make a ton of assumptions. So
yeah, so let's say I built a report and I'm refreshing the data, but I want to refresh it under Patrick's credentials, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm pulling it from the database, I want it to pull as if it was Patrick pulling it, not me. In that case, when I set up the data source credentials, I want to supply Patrick's credentials for the data source credentials in that case. So I can do that either on the gateway, or if it's just, again, direct connect to like Azure SQL database, I have to type that in. So, that's for pulling it.
I like Chris Jones' comment. This sounds a little sketchy.
No, not necessarily. I mean, it's like, look, if we define... Well, it could be like, look, we need to get this up and running, but Patrick has the credential to hit the data source. I don't, but we need to deploy it. Maybe we're on the same team. I mean, there's scenarios where that's probably a realistic thing. Or hey, there's just a central account that we need to pull it as. So, I mean, those are things that need to be considered in terms of governance and whatnot, of who owns the credential and who's supplying it and whatnot. So those are things that you need to think about. So there are potentially ways you can do it, but that credential has to be entered somewhere, right, and managed. So,
Chris Finland. God. Hey, I thought Chris was no longer doing Power BI. I thought.
Yeah, he's trolling me.
Report.
He's trolling me.
I know.
He's trolling me.
I know.
He's trolling me. That's what he's doing. Chris, it's because we love you so much and you're responsive. It's not my fault you answer your team's messages. All right. We're at the clock. Let's get one more. This is going to be a quick one. Tommy, when can Excel connect to Dataflow? I don't know. I have no idea.
If I build a data set that's connected to a Dataflow,
that's not what
and
he
then
wants.
connect to that data
That's
set,
not what Tommy's asking.
Well,
that's not what Tommy's asking.
Okay.
I would say go to ideas.powerbi.com and I'm sure it's out there. Vote it up. Paul on Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays.
All right. Members, we're cutting over to member only chat. So members, Chatmaster C is giving you the green light. Go ahead and get your questions in. Kim, get your question in. We're going to cut over to member only chat. So what this means is members and moderators will be able to participate in the chat. Everyone else, you will be able to watch the stream and watch the chat and get the learnings that you need of Power BI, but you will not be able to actually interact with the chat. Super chats always get priority for questions, even if you're not a member. And then apologies for all the non-members. Like, again, we didn't get to all your questions. Apologies for that. Come back next week and get your question in early so we can make sure we get to it. All right, cutting over. What are you doing, Patrick?
Just getting ready for the member questions.
All right. Member only chat. Here we go. All right. One of the benefits of being a member of GuideCube at certain tiers, so visitor and producer tier, is you get to, what did Chris say? He said something.
No, I'm looking at Laura's question. I really love Laura's question.
Oh. All right. That's going to be interesting. What was I doing? Oh yeah, member questions. All right. So for visitors and for producers, you can pre-submit questions ahead of time, and sometimes we get to spend a little bit more time and figure out what's going on. And so we do have some pre-submitted questions this week. We've got 3 of them. So let's go. First one is from, I need to get rid of that. There we go. First one is from Mr. Kevin. So Kevin said, at quick glance, it appears that I'm exceeding the CPU limits of his premium capacity, but I don't have any overload minutes. I went back to your video and noticed that you don't have the second Y-axis. I installed the app to another workspace to ensure I had the latest version, but the chart looks the same. What the heck is going on? So one thing I want to call out here to pay attention on this, so I put the image of what he showed. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see the CPU limit, and you see the numbers there. That yellow line in the middle is the limit line. And so this is for 120. So this is a P1 SKU. So 120 CPU seconds is the limit. So what he's saying is that CPU limit thing on the right, it's there for his, and on mine, it wasn't. So let's go ahead and jump over to my computer. So let's look at, here we go. All right, so here's my visual, right? And so we can see here that I don't have that second Y-axis showed, the secondary axis. I don't have it listed there. And here we can see that everything looks right. So it looks like that line is right around 120. Everything looks good. On his, it wasn't, it looked wonky. So actually, to illustrate that, let me go back to his so you can compare. And you can see that like the line, it looks like it's around maybe the 30 range if you look at the left-hand side. So it's not showing correctly on that. So it looks weird, and it looks like he's overloading, but he's really not, because those bars are they're not even getting up to 50, whereas the limit's 120. So he's fine. It's fine, but it's confusing. So what's going on? And so one thing, so I did talk to some people, and I've actually got a video coming out Wednesday talking about this as well. But what's going on is that for some reason, sometimes this visual will show that secondary access, even though it's disabled by default. And so there's some stuff that needs to go to figure out why that's happening. By default, the secondary access should not be shown. And so what he was doing, though, is when he switched capacities, it would look fine. Like the secondary access went away. But when he went to the one capacity, then it would show up. So there's some wonkiness going on there. So it can be confusing, but just know that the limit is 120. So if these red bars aren't going up, so in Kevin's case, it was only going up to 50, you're fine. I know it can be confusing. And so what he was saying, like there are no overloaded minutes, is this chart here was just empty, which is good. So just be aware of that from a premium capacity metrics perspective. All right.
I like it.
You like it? You like it? That was.
I do. I like it.
So kudos to Phil Seamark for helping explain what was going on to me as well. He told me he's like, yeah, we know about that. We just can't repro it locally, so we haven't been able to debug it fully. All right. Question number 2 from our friend Tom. I have a list of gas stations with latitude, longitude, and current prices, and need to be able to compare prices for any gas station in a selected radius around the selected gas station. You ever done any videos on something like this?
You know, technically, I don't think we did a video on this. I think we presented sessions. I did a video on this. Oh.
It was a Power Apps specific video. It was labeled as a Power Apps video.
Oh, okay. But I know we used to do a full session on this thing, yes. And we were searching for retail stores within a certain range, and we were using Power Apps to do all this stuff. And I got to be honest with you. The math to calculate the radius, I had nothing to do with this math. It's based on some Haversine formula. I'm looking at it on Wikipedia right now. David Eversvale did a blog post on it. Phil Seamark did a blog post on it. And when I replied to your email, Tomke, I will send you a link to both of those. And the math is,
it's math.
It's math. And even
I remember, Phil said something. He put in there and he's just like, look, I'm not going to explain how I did this. He's like, just trust that it works.
Trust that it works.
And it was like, it was something like 100 lines of like DAX. It was like funky. I don't know. It was funky, man. It worked.
It was funky.
It worked.
But it works. Let me show you. Go to my screen,
All right.
if you don't mind.
And Alex dropped a link to David Eldersfeld blog.
Yeah.
And
then David links to Fields, and there's another person he links to in the video. I forget his name. I mean, in the blog post. And so Adam and I we used to do this session with composite models and Power Apps and all this kind of stuff. We don't do this session anymore. But basically, I have this range. I make this little slicer that I created, and it just has, anything but from my selected location. So we have this selected location. So I think the last person that did this was Adam, because it's
it was a long
Texas.
time ago. Yep.
Hackberry, Texas.
Oh,
so,
I know where we did that too. You know where we did that?
Where?
I think we did that at the Power BI, or the Power Platform, the global tour. It was in Houston, and we went there in person. That was
Yep. And so the last time we did this, we captured the current location. So this could be a slicer that captures your location, but you need the longitude and latitude. And basically now what I can do is I can say, show me all the stores that's less than a mile. So you can see right here are, locations that's less than a mile. So it's just my current location. If I switch this, and so show me things between 1 and 5 miles, you'll see, right, I have this one location. And then if you say, show me everything between 11 and 20 miles, right, you'll see that one. And then if I go greater than 20 miles, you'll see some crazy amount. And it's just stored in the database,
Show the measure.
And so the DAX. Yeah. So actually, when I did this, I did it as a calculated column, but it can be done as a measure also. So you can do this as a measure also. I did it as a calculated column because I needed it because I was doing some sorting and I was doing some other stuff with the data. All right. And so I did it as a calculated column, and it's actually not that bad. The Field's latest iteration really trimmed it down. But here's the algorithm. Now, if you understand all these, I know cosine and things like that, but I mean, it's not that difficult. But
if you know math,
right? And so it's about.
I suck at math.
I know. The thing is based on this, right? It's based on this Haversine formula. And so if you just go read through this, it's down here. It's not terrible. It's not that terrible. But it's not that you can implement this really easily, and you saw how Phil did it. So you just got to replace some things. So, but there you go, Tom. So I hope that worked. I hope that helps you out.
Yes.
The next one is a really good one. The next one is a really
the
good
next
one.
question. All right.
Yeah.
Here comes.
Yeah.
Stina in UK coming at us with a question.
Yeah.
I am trying to create a waterfall allocation for subscriptions that my company has sold. Taking the full subscription amount and then breaking down over the total subscription period so we can see our month-over-month revenue recognition and our future revenue as well. I know I made a critical error somewhere, but I have no idea. Please help.
Yeah. So before we go to machines or anything like that. So I was working on this yesterday, and I'm like, I just don't think this could be done. And I think I sent her an email. I was like, hey, can I get some more information? She sent some more information. She sent something this morning. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And so I went to DAX Patterns. I'm going to admit to you guys, I went to DAX Patterns. And I kind of started scrolling through them. I was like, I don't think they have anything like this in it. So then Adam's like, oh, vMix is up. So I get on with Adam. He's like, no, just scroll all the way down. It's like, mother French toast. And I scroll all the way down. Now you can show my screen. I scroll all the way down. And look at there. And I think this is what she started using when she started to work, because the PBIX file that she sent over adapted some of this. And if you go to this and you scroll all the way to the bottom, the guys create a calculated table somewhere down here. I don't remember, but somewhere down here they create this calculated table. Oh, here we go. It's right here. They create this calculated table. And you could see what was great, they included these keys.
Yep.
Right? Because they needed to relate that calculated table to other items.
You need it at that grain. Yeah.
Yes. And I think after Adam and I did some testing on this, and unfortunately we can't show the solution because there's some data that we shouldn't show.
Yeah, we can't show the data.
Adam. But
Patrick was all like, I'm going to show this. I'm like, I don't think we can show that.
Yeah. But I can show you the DAX. I can show you the DAX for the calculated table. And so basically when we started, we didn't have these two in it. Yep. And it was down to this level. So I added the customer and the item. And
So
then
the real key here, though, is like the item breakout, because without the item, it was a total roll up, and it wasn't making sense.
Right.
So
the math didn't work.
Yeah. So Stina, that I think is really the crux of what you were saying, because there was some back and forth also about, well, the numbers don't add up. And when Patrick and I were going through after we added the item, we're like, no, those numbers look right. Like, so, so we think that's what the problem was.
I'm going to see the PBIX and then email us back. Email us back if it isn't. And then this was the model. So you had some other tables there, but because we created this calculated table, you already had that linked to calendar, and then I linked it to item. And then as we were doing the filtering and the slicing, it looked like you were on the exact path. You just forgot a few things. And it looked like close. That worked. I'll see you. I'll see you the PBIX file. Now, this is great. This is great. And it works in DAX, and I think it works. If it was me, I would not do this. I would absolutely not do this. This data is going to explode out, and when you start processing and refreshing this model, it could have an effect. I think
when we looked at the base one that was sent to us, I think that calculated table was already close to 1 million rows, which is not. I mean, it's not horrible. Yeah, it's not horrible, but I'm just thinking over time, and also once we add the item there, that's going to expand it even more. And you'll have to pay attention also to like how long is this taking to refresh? What are the resources? So it may be okay for now, but that could change over time, and something to consider, something to think about.
So maybe go to Power Query if you don't have access to the source. But if you have access to the source data, skip DAX and Power Query and do it in the source if you have access. Right? And Adam was like, "I bet you she doesn't. She don't have access. That's why she's asking this question." I'm like, "Well, maybe she does. Maybe she knows someone. But
maybe you can get someone a cup of coffee. Who knows?
Maybe. All right. I don't want coffee. I don't want coffee.
As you're drinking coffee.
Yeah, but that's morning time stuff. I want afternoon stuff.
What if she asks in the morning?
Maybe I don't want morning stuff in the morning anymore.
All right. So those are the member questions. Here we go. Going to the queue. Kim, you are first up. When to move a table to data flows? What's the functionality of direct query and hybrid tables with data flows? Ooh.
I haven't tried it. I haven't tried that.
Well, so there's two parts here, right? So the first one is when to move a table to data flows. I'm going to start with it depends. So one thing I look at for data flows, there's a couple of different things to keep in mind here. So one is if we have a common dimension table that's used across many models and different groups, like to me, that's a clear signal that data flows is a great win there. I've got a video coming out on Thursday where I'm like actually optimizing Power Query, and it was in the context of a data flow. And I think it's just a great example of, I think, what business analysts struggle with at work sometimes is where like, look, I don't have access to the data source, but I need to stage some stuff so I'm not like killing the data source all the time. And so they decided to go with data flows for doing that, right? So we're trying to use that as kind of an intermediary to help with a business solution where the business analyst doesn't necessarily have direct access to the source. In their case, they were saying like, look, it takes like 6 months to get anything done if I go down that road, and I need to get this done, next week. And so they went to data flows for that. So that's something to consider for data flows as well. So it's a great tool for breaking out. Maybe you want to pre-process some stuff, so it's not actually like the Power Query stuff's not going to be processed when you refresh the data model, so you can do it ahead of time. So those are good reasons to use data flows as well. Now in terms of, go ahead.
No, finish.
I was going to say, I was going to move on to the second part of the question, but if you had something for the first part.
But before you go, bring up Matthew's comments, because
I knew Matthew was going to add words of wisdom to this. Where is it?
That's what I was going to say.
His 2 cents. Move a table to data flows when you want to use it in multiple data sets. I said that. And don't have a database or data warehouse where you can put it. I said that too.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there you go.
Woo-hoo.
Very
yes.
nice. We're all on the same page.
Spot on.
So But so Kim had a follow up, and I know we're gonna skip because we're gonna get to the hybrid table part. But she said, and I know we're giving her 2 questions. I'm sorry, but she said when to move a fact table to a data flow. Yeah, I don't know about a fact table. Fact tables get really big, really fast. It's in there somewhere. It's in there. So yeah.
Well, so there's going to be some limits too. Like how big is that fact table? Also.
Yeah.
And how many columns are there, right? So there's so many. I would say in general, dimensions are better to put there. I'm not saying I know people that put fact tables there, but it depends. Like if you've got a fact, let's go extreme here. You're working with a fact table that's got like 500 billion rows. You're not putting that in data flows. I'm just telling you right now, you're not doing that.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
So, but if your fact table is like 600,000 rows, I mean, it probably will work. But I don't know. That's still something I would really think hard about. So, and then I know we're going. So she had one last comment about like any tips to speed up the process. Check out my video on Thursday. That's what it's all about. Is like our thought process for like having to optimize. It's all about Power Query, right? So optimizing Power Query, but also some other things we talk about too in terms of thinking about the data. Like what kind of data are we sticking in there? Do you need all that data? Are you doing the right thing with your data? But yeah, so the video on Thursday that's coming out is going to be all about how we optimized some Power Query to, and I say we, it was me, to optimize the Power Query to just make it go faster. Patrick was on the call with me, but I beat him I beat him. Yeah, we were racing. We were both on the same page. We were thinking the same thing. So it was fun. All right. Good questions, Kim.
So
I'm excited. The hybrid table. The hybrid table.
Data flows. Does it work? I haven't tried. I don't think so.
Well, so you need the direct query piece of this. Maybe.
I don't think that works.
If you're using premium, you can do the direct query endpoint to data flows. Why would it not work?
Let me write this down.
All right, Patrick's going to go explore. Yeah, Alex. I was pinging Alex about the thing, and I told him what the before and after were. And he's like, I was sending him nerdy Power Query messages at the wee hours. Alex hasn't seen it yet, but he saw the before and after on what it did, and it was insane. And it was insane when we were on the call when we did it. It was like, oh my gosh, like that was blazing fast. It was holy cow. All right, moving on. Okay, so Matthew's got a good point too. Sorry. No, Matthew, you're right. So he said it's not just about optimizing Power Query. Data flows are a different execution environment than other places where Power Query runs. You take that into consideration as well. Absolutely, 100%. Lots of things to consider. So it definitely depends.
Kevin said it's on the official box. It is on. There's 2 things on the official box, Kevin, today.
Yeah.
There's 2 things on the official box.
All right, Michael coming in with a 2-part. A lot of 2-parters today. Oof. Not liking the text, the character count on the text box, I guess. Getting a sequence contains more than one matching element error when refreshing a new composite model. Ooh. Is this a one-to-many relationship issue? Sequence contains more. Ooh. Sequence. I have to look up that error. I don't.
A sequence contains more than one matching element. Sequence contains more than one.
Sounds like a potential relationship thing.
Yeah, so that's what I think, right? Because if it's one to many, then it goes to many. It won't work, right? That's what I think, but I don't know that error.
Yeah, maybe. And then the second part, if so, how can I tell which table the individual models are refreshing normally? Oh, okay. So we're doing a relationship in the composite model, and that's causing. When do you get the?
Can he look at the model and open it up? Because it should show it, right? When it does the data validation on the relationship, it should switch it. But which table? Which table was originally many?
Yeah.
Which table was it originally one? Which was originally many? Obviously, the one that was one has switched to many, and that's your problem.
Yeah. The other thing you could try doing is if you've got multiple relationships in there from the composite model perspective is see, like, can you add those in like one at a time until the error pops? Like, that's a good way to figure out where it is as well.
Oh, wow.
What?
He said I deleted any table with relationship between the model and it's still causing an error. I don't know, man.
You may need to open a support case on that. I don't know. I'd have to dig into it. We don't, just with that, I mean, that's a debugging thing. It's going to take some time to figure that out.
I do like what Mark said though, because Mark's saying once you delete them, try to add them back. I know he said it still happens even with the relationships gone. But
yeah, at that point for me, it's like trial and error until I can figure out which one it is. And, and or if there's ways to even dig into I don't know if there's a way to dig into that error message to get more details. I don't know. Like you could try enabling the diagnostics in desktop and see if that gives you anything, but it may not. Or put a profiler trace on desktop too when you're refreshing it and see if like the error message that comes up in profiler maybe gives you additional information.
That's a good one.
Maybe.
That's a good one.
Those are all things I would go try. Outside of that, open up a support case and see if that can help you. All right. Cool. Pop eater. I have a report connected to Sharepoint for file data. I can refresh it if I open the report, but not refresh it in the service. It appears to be a credential issue. I can't figure out what it's looking for. So it's more than likely a credential issue. You have to, I'm assuming you supplied the credentials. When you publish the report, you go to the data set, you got to enter the credential after you publish it. One thing, and I need to follow up on this because this was an issue a long time ago, and I don't know. It was never clear to me if this was ever resolved. Is that the OAuth pieces sometimes like it would drop, like it wouldn't refresh the token after like 20 days or whatever. And so you had to like re-enter those credentials. Like, so it would work for a period of time and then it would just stop working. So I don't know, Pobbeater, if that's what you're saying. Like it just doesn't work from the get-go, or if it does work for a little bit and then stops. If it never worked from the beginning, I'm like, you got to enter the credentials. So make sure that that's being done. Outside of that, I need to know what the error message is. So he's saying he tried every tweak for the credential he can think of. Yeah, not working from the get-go. I mean, for me, like it works. Like I've done that. I did it recently, in fact, and it works when I enter the credential and I'm in the same tenant, right? So my Power BI tenant matches my Sharepoint tenant. As long as they match, you enter the credentials, that should work. If it's not working, I'd need to look at the actual error message. And again, I know you're putting some jabs on the support thing, but honestly, you may need to open up a support ticket there too to figure out what's going on under the hoods. Because the other thing it'll give you on that error message is an activity ID, and what support can do is they can go look under the hoods on the tracing and see what's actually happening. Because there may be something else going on that we're not aware of in this context. So you can't use Windows. Wait, okay, hang on. He's saying he's using Windows credentials. Okay, hang on. So you're not using SharePoint Online. You're using SharePoint on-prem. So you have a gateway. You're going to need a gateway for that. And then the gateway credential should support Windows authentication through the gateway. Yeah. Matthew was the same thing. Like, wait a second, is this online or on-prem? Windows credential, that to me, that signals on-prem. I was thinking SharePoint Online originally.
Yeah, on-prem. I didn't even on-prem. Interesting.
Yeah. So the gateway, you've got to define the data source for the SharePoint list in the gateway, and then supply, and then you can use the Windows credential through the data source in the gateway. And then that all is in the context of Windows. Yeah.
That's the issue.
All right.
That's the issue.
Cool.
Got it.
Awesome. All right. Context matters.
Cool. SharePoint on-prem.
Yeah, that's a long time since I've touched SharePoint on-prem. Long time. All right, Norb.
You know, I used to set up SharePoint on-prem. I used to set up SharePoint.
Oh, I did too. I had an 8 VM SharePoint farm, like 2 domain cross thing on my laptop. That was my Kerberos test bed, man. That was back in the day. Ooh. It's like Kerberos. It just works. Yes. Oh
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Don't get me started, man. I'm getting all hot and sweaty now. Kerberos. Ooh.
They do everything on prem. Yeah. Right. Okay, Bobby. Okay.
Not if you're using Power BI with a gateway. That's in the cloud.
I think that. Oh,
sorry.
I thought they were using. I thought he used report server. Anyway,
not if he's using a gateway, because gateways are for the service.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Norb, do you have a learning journey recommendation to qualify as a contractor to bid for Power BI projects and jobs? Ooh. So in general learning, so I don't have it in the context of like qualifying as a contractor for bids and whatnot. I think some of that comes across with experience and whatnot. I've never had to do that, so I don't know what the specifics are that go into that. In terms of a learning journey for Power BI to become proficient and where you can apply for those things. I mean, there are great learning opportunities. I mean, Guy in a Cube is a great resource. We've got some beginner trainings, and we're working on some other stuff as well. Tons of videos on advanced topics that span the whole the service as a whole. Other SQL BI's got a lot of great training. There's so many partners and consultants that are out there that talk about these things. So tons of resources. And then Paul's bringing up the certifications as well. The DA100, which is going to get renamed to something else, a PL 500 or 300 or 200. I don't know. So there's the Learn content is a great place to start. There's a bunch of new stuff that's out there as well. I know Alex was working on getting some of the AI stuff for Learn content or store training or all the, much. Yeah, there's so much content out there. But the exams are definitely a great way. From a contractor perspective, the exams I would definitely recommend. Make sure you're going for that. Make sure you understand the concepts. And then, just all the other stuff that's out there. Cool. All right, Patrick, are you ready?
No, I'm ready.
This is the question. Who's coming to SQL Bits?
This guy's coming to SQL Bits.
Well, I don't know. Put in the chat if you're going to SQL Bits.
I know people going to SQL Bits.
I know people that are going to SQL Bits too. It's exciting. It's going to be in person. It's going to be in London. Heidi's virtually going to SQL Bits. Heidi, I totally get it. Being out in Australia. Yeah. And Matthew, Alex, look at that. Chris Jones, what is SQL Bits? Go to SQLBits.com. It's a conference that's based in the UK. So SQL Bits, the original roots of this was obviously SQL. It's got SQL in the title. But Power BI actually has a very good showing at SQL Bits. It's an amazing conference. So many great people. And Crystal outed me. So I hadn't told Matthew and Alex yet. I hadn't had the chance. I told Patrick yesterday. So Mark and Matthew and Alex, I'm actually not going to be able to go. My daughter's got a competition thing that came up as part of the drill team that she added. And so now I will, thank you.
And then I got this huge lecture. Lecture before the stream starts. Like, do not say.
Well, because I wanted to tell him. I wanted to tell him face to face. I didn't want to do it on the live stream. I know. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry, Matthew.
Matthew, I was lectured.
It's the same weekend. It's the same week. We found out it's the same weekend as SQL Bits, and I'm like, mother. So it's
Matthew,
So we were gonna do something that we did at MBAS, and he worked on getting swords at the location, and we were gonna. So Patrick said he would be your sword buddy.
I'll do it, Matthew.
I don't know if you're going to trust him with what we did, though. So that's something else. All right. I'm going to stop talking now, Matthew. I'm sorry.
He said, stop talking, Adam. Stop talking.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Thank you, Laura, for the wonderful question.
Hey, Marco will be there. All right, Marco.
Marco's going to be there.
We'll get some pizza together. We'll have pizza together, Marco.
How much time we got? Oh, look at that. We're at the hour. Oh.
No, wait. No, one more. We gotta do another one. We gotta do one more.
All right. One more. Okay.
Come on, one more.
My model, has multiple fact tables. For the biggest one, I need to use incremental refresh with XMLA endpoint. Need to bootstrap the initial load. Love it. All right. Part 2. For the smaller ones, should I load them directly from source or use data flows? There are pros and cons to both, so want to know best practices. I mean, I think we kind of talked to this already. Like, it depends, right?
Yeah.
So, like, so use the right tool for the job. Why? I would say, what's the first, why are we even thinking data flows for that? Like, what's the goal of, like, why would you want to do that? If you've already got it in the data source, like, why not just pull it from the data source? So.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
Right?
So before we go, next week, you will see a jar on my somewhere. I'm gonna go to the bank. I'm gonna get a whole bunch of ones, and every time we say it depends, I'm gonna put $1 in that jar up to SQL bits. Now, what I do with that money, I don't know yet, but we're gonna fill that jar up. Watch, I guarantee you, up until SQL bits, we're gonna fill this jar up. Now, what I do with it, we'll see.
Okay. All right.
Maybe I'll buy beer with it. Maybe
you will buy beer. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be there, so, everyone knows that. All right.
Cha-ching.
Oh, I can't wait for Tuesday now.
Look what Crystal said. $5 every time I swear without hitting.
That's funny. All right, everyone. We are at the hour. So thank you, everyone, for joining. It was good fun as always. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. So we'll see everyone. We will be here next Saturday. So think about what questions you want to ask about Power BI, and we will see you on the interwebs before that point. So have a great weekend, everyone.
Stay.
It's hard, 'cause I want everything and nothing at all. Yeah, I want everything and nothing at all. 'Cause I want everything and nothing at all. Don't care what you think.